is the universe. A sky crowded with billions of tiny pinpoints of light, each like the dot in a question mark. For in this star-packed heavens is the riddle of existence, that twilight land of the unknown where imagination must replace knowledge, hypothesis takes the place of fact. Man's small mind can only project so far, then merely question. What's needed is a device to explain the mystery, to probe the void, a machine to answer the question.
The answer to the question is tonight. The answer to the question is tonight.
How do you shut this thing off?
The answer to the question is
I think it's a switch on the
tonight.
left-hand side.
The
50
answer
switches,
to the question
and the idea
is
which one?
tonight.
I think the end
The
one.
answer
On the
to
top
the
line.
question is tonight.
What's it look like, Lieutenant?
Murder and suicide. Dr. Bukoff appears to have died from a blow struck on the base of the skull. The younger fella, what's his name? Chesney. He died from a .38 caliber slug through the left temple. What could be a motive in a thing like this?
No pictures.
No pictures. Washington, no less. FBI put it on the wire the minute they heard. No pictures inside the laboratory. Something about that machine. That's top secret or some such thing.
And they told you that we were the last people to see both of them alive, just two of us reporters.
Yeah, but you didn't notice anything peculiar. No arguing between the two men.
No. Chesney seemed sore that Bukoff had let reporters in, but that's not a murder motive.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead what?
Your interview in this room not 6 hours ago. Tell me what happened.
Well, we've been asking for an interview to talk about the doctor's machine.
That thing.
Yeah, we were asking him questions about it. Dr. Bukoff, can you tell us once again, in layman's terms, the function of the machine?
Well, you might say, vastly oversimplified of course, that this machine can break down every human problem into a mathematical equation. An equation that will answer any equation given it.
Any question?
Problem, mystery, question. You assign every factor a mathematical term. Say we call the atom X. We call nuclear fission Y. The combination of X plus Y equals Z, an atomic explosion.
The machine could answer that?
Yes, and mechanically it translates the equation into a vocal form.
What are the limits of the machine, Dr. Bukoff? You say it can answer a scientific question. What about some other kind of question? Say, well, can it predict things?
It could, ultimately, if we can assume that these predictions can be based on certain unvariable factors.
How about the presidential election?
There you have a case of a great many variables, but even a case like that can be mathematically stated. Each candidate is assigned a numerical designation and placed in an equation. The machine works out the equation, and we get the answer.
Could you give us a demonstration?
Of course, but this I must tell you before we go any further. This machine can do much, ultimately, but it's like a newborn child. It must be given a chance to grow, to develop. It can't be given too much as yet. At present, it can only answer the simplest questions.
All right. Ask it how much 11 times 146 is.
All right. 11 times 146.
The answer to the problem is 1,606. The answer to the problem is 1,600
How about the presidential election, Doctor?
I'm afraid not yet. As I say, this machine may one day lift the curtain to the unknown. It can conceivably solve the puzzle of life, but we must let it do these things gradually. It must not be overtaxed. It cannot be overtaxed.
How long did it take you to develop the machine?
It isn't developed yet, but I started in 1950.
That would be... Mind asking the machine how long that would be?
Of course. How many years ago was 1950?
The answer to the question is 32 years.
Amazing.
The answer to the question
Not
is...
so amazing, really. Edison's electric light was monumental. Now it's accepted as an everyday necessity. The same thing applies to the steam engine. television, the atomic age. Each had its humble beginnings and was now looked upon as the wonder of the age. And so too with this machine. But in a year, 5, 10 years perhaps, this too will be a necessity to answer problems, the sort of scientific Dr. Anthony.
Oh, excuse me, Doctor. I didn't know you had...
Oh, that's all right. Gentlemen, this is my assistant, Dr. Chesney. Robert, these are very curious and very persistent members of the press. I couldn't keep them out any longer.
I see.
We're impressed, Mr. Chesney.
Then perhaps you'll do us a courtesy to treat your report of the machine as a scientific discovery and not as a carnival sideshow or a science fiction comic strip.
We'll accord it the same factual reporting we give any news that's legitimate, Mr. Chesney.
I'll believe this when I read your stories.
Thanks very much, Doctor. You remember your promise?
I'll call you inside 3 weeks for another demonstration.
All right, Dr. Bukoff, I suppose I'm going to get a lecture.
Hardly accommodation, Robert, after that little display. You're an excellent physicist, Robert, and not many men can surpass you as a mathematician. But in the more fundamental aspect of human relations, simple courtesy, you're a bore, Robert. You have no conception of kindliness, no concern for anyone but yourself.
You'd suggest I greet reporters with open arms.
I'd insist in my laboratory you show common, ordinary decency. We're both tired, Robert. Perhaps a short rest over the weekend.
And the machine! You were going to try calculus tomorrow.
It's not ready for anything that complex.
But a simple problem in calculus certainly couldn't...
How are we to know? What if we injure it? What if we overtax it to such a degree that...
Doctor, this is a machine. This is nuts and bolts and wires. You act as if it were some kind of newborn babe.
I guess you're right. Somehow I've become so a part of it. It strikes me as, well, one of the family. Go ahead, Robert. Give it your calculus problem, but make it simple. I mean it.
All right. Try this, machine. I want the differential equation for harmonic motion.
Robert, that's too...
The problem is d squared x divided by d squared t equals a minus. All right, I want the answer.
The answer to the question is x equals a in kt plus a.
There, Dr. Bukoff, are you satisfied? I didn't strain one little precious bearing on it. Think of it. A solution to a calculus problem in less than 10 seconds, and absolutely correct.
Let's leave it at that then, Robert.
But why? Why leave it at that? Here's a machine to answer every knotty problem in the universe, and it could start here.
Your alien craft again, eh?
Why not? They were sighted over Lubbock, Texas again. An entire squadron of them near Gallup, New Mexico. And there are pictures of them this time, Doctor.
I've seen them.
Where are they from? What are they? Why are they here?
This we don't know, Robert.
But we could know it. We could find out the answer to every one of those questions. In here are the answers, waiting to be given us. Why wait, Doctor?
I've waited 30 years, Robert, before I dared ask the machine the sum of 2 and 2. I can wait another week or two until I'm sure.
How sure do you have to be? Look, since 1947, these alien craft have been seen over every state in the country. They're here for some purpose. They've got to be. And something, some being or something controls them. Dr. Bukoff, I formulated an equation we could feed the machine.
You've overstepped your authority, Robert.
Look at it, Doctor. The entire equation worked out in the minutest detail.
You've made x the direction. That won't hold. The direction will be variable.
I've made allowances for that. Here. It's sound, isn't it? Why not try it?
Do you realize what you'd be making the machine do? Figure an equation it would take 100 men 1,000 years to compute. Robert, you're asking it a question not a human being could answer.
That's its purpose! To answer what we can't answer ourselves.
Robert, there are some questions best unanswered, unless we're prepared for the answer.
You talk like someone of the Dark Ages, Doctor.
I talk like a 20th century man who knows what could result from mass fear and mass hysteria.
You're suggesting that the answer to my question could do all that?
Yes, Robert. Conceivably, the answer to a question like, where are the alien craft from?
In the laboratory several days later sit several military and naval officers, and in their midst, the squat, impassive-looking metal box, the machine.
All right, I think we're about ready to begin. The mimeograph sheets given you explain, fundamentally at least, how the machine works. Are there any questions?
Dr. Bukoff, you say that Dr. Chesney formulated the equations you'll ask the machine. Now, how will the answer come? In the form of another equation?
If the machine works properly, General, it will interpolate. It will mechanically determine an answering equation, but will vocalize it in terms of language, not an equation.
In other words, we should hear the machine tell us in English where the flying saucers originate.
If successful, yes.
If successful.
As I've indicated, this is the most ambitious thing we've tried. Previous to this, the machine has only been asked simple questions of mathematics, never a complex thing like this.
One more thing. First question is, where? Where are the flying saucers from? And the second question...
The second question, in equation form, is, why are the craft present?
All right, Dr. Bukoff, proceed, by all means.
All right. Robert, turn it on, please. Where are the alien craft from?
This question is going to take longer, Doctor. Much longer.
We've overtaxed it. That must be it.
No. It just needs more time, that's all.
Look at the pressure gauge. It's never gone up that...
The answer to equation GXY is from planet 67,890,000 Earth miles away. Transmission time at speed of light, 12 minutes, 10 seconds. The answer to equation GXY is...
67,890,000. Dr. Bukoff, it could be only one planet.
Planet? Another planet?
The planet Oedar, General. That is precisely that distance away. Your flying saucers are from the planet we call Oedar.
A moment, please. At ease, gentlemen. At ease. All right, Dr. Bukoff. The next question?
General, I would strongly suggest postponing any further experimentation until...
That's absurd, Doctor. We've established that those saucers are from outside our orbit. Now, the next vital question is, why are they here?
To ask it my equation might do it irreparable damage.
Under the circumstances, Doctor, the machine seems to be the very least of our concerns. The welfare and security of the nation, indeed the world, is of primary importance.
General, this machine might ultimately be the most valuable source of information the world has ever known. You may destroy its usefulness by overtaxing it. All I'm asking is a little time.
Dr. Bukoff, I must agree with the General, sir. Perhaps time is one thing we can't afford.
Of course. Go ahead, Dr. Bukoff. Ask it your equation. Find out why the saucers are here.
All right.
How long do you think it'll take, Doctor?
There's no telling. If there's no response in 5 minutes, it means we've given it too much. I'll have to shut it off. It doesn't seem to be functioning. There doesn't appear to be any computation taking place. I'm afraid what's happened to it would roughly correspond to a human coma. A temporary breakdown caused by overexertion.
Is this temporary, Doctor? Is that assured? In other words, tomorrow, the next day, we can try again?
Probably.
We'll wait for your call. Needless to say, now what has transpired in this room cannot be mentioned to a living soul, other than the President. Good Lord, if it leaked out that flying saucers were from another planet. You'll phone us, Doctor?
Immediately.
Refer to it as the operation for security's sake. Tell me the operation is either ready or that the patient needs more time. I'll understand.
Of course. Good night, General. Frightened, Robert?
Frightened?
At what we've discovered tonight?
No, I'm not frightened, Doctor. I think most people are conditioned to this. They've expected it. No, I'm not frightened. As a matter of fact, I'm rather pleasurably excited.
I think that's one of the delights of being young.
Well, I'd best shut the machine off if we're going to be leaving.
What did you say, Robert?
I said I'd best shut the machine off.
No, after that.
I didn't say any.
Shh, listen.
The answer to the question is to destroy the Earth. The answer to the question is...
Robert, did you hear it?
Yes, Doctor, I heard it.
The answer
But Robert,
to the
what could this
question
mean?
is
Destroy the Earth? How? Why?
It means exactly what it says. It means our visitors aren't cruising overhead to pay us an eventual social call. They mean to put us away. And I'm not surprised either, Doctor.
No, Robert, you're not. You're not surprised at all, and you're not affected either, it seems.
Should I be? Should any of us be, Doctor? How do we know when we're going to be destroyed? Probably centuries from now. We've no doubt been under surveillance for as long as that already.
But we can't be sure of that.
Oh, yes, we can, Doctor. We can be absolutely sure.
No, I won't have it destroyed.
Perhaps it won't be destroyed. It weathered the last question.
I won't take that chance, not yet. Let's be content with what we've learned.
Content? With the knowledge that we're going to be destroyed?
We don't know when. You said that yourself.
I want to find out, Dr. Bukoff. I'm afraid I must insist on turning on the machine.
You can't. You have no equation to...
Yes, I have an equation, every factor included, and guaranteeing the answer to the big question, when we're going to be destroyed.
Robert, I can't let you. It's my machine.
It's mine too, Doctor. It's every man's who knows how to use it. I worked a long time on these equations. I can't wait any longer. Get out of the way. No, Robert, no. If you'd only been sensible, Dr. Bukoff. If you hadn't tried to stop the inevitable. If you hadn't wanted to hide your head in the sand and pretend that as long as you couldn't see, you were safe. All right, machine. You have the big question. Take your time, but give me an answer. You must tell me when. When is the Earth to be destroyed?
But the last you saw of him was after the interview. Not again, huh?
Well, I don't think anyone did.
Take the bodies out, please.
The answer is in here, someplace.
The machine. I don't know. I think the whole thing is wacky. Dr. Bukoff dead from a blow on the skull, and Chesney a suicide, and the only witness a machine that keeps saying the answer is tonight. I think I'll go home and take a bromo. Oh, pretty night. Clear as a bell. Well, at least you got a story that'll take those crazy flying saucers off the front page. We'll see you around, pal.
I hope so. But I wonder, what question did they ask you that made Chesney put a bullet in his head? You can't answer that, can you?
The answer is tonight. The answer is tonight. The answer is tonight. The answer is tonight.
This is the universe. A sky crowded with billions of tiny pinpoints of light, each like a dot in a question mark. For in this star-packed heavens is the riddle of existence. That twilight land where imagination must replace knowledge, hypothesis take the place of fact. Man's small mind can only project so far, then merely question. What's needed is a device to explain the mystery, to probe the void. So man built such a machine that answered the question.
This performance of A Machine to Answer the Question is an updated version of the original radio script by Rod Serling by the same name, performed by the WDNE Radio Drama Company. Musical setting included the selected works of Tomita and Tiomkin. No rights are reserved, and the lack of copyrights are dated 1982.